Welcome to Storytelling and Beyond, where stories are not just told, they're felt. If you believe in the power of kindness, fate, and unexpected miracles, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more soul-touching tales. The evening had fallen like a quiet curtain over the city of Boston. The streets, still damp from an earlier drizzle, shimmered under the flickering streetlights. Cars zoomed by, their headlights casting elongated shadows on the sidewalk. Inside a modest corner café, the clink of dishes being stacked and the hiss of the last coffee brew winding down signaled the end of another long shift. Lily Thompson, 25, moved with silent efficiency as she wiped down the tables one by one. Her hands, though tired, moved with care, like someone used to cleaning up more than just tables. Life had trained her to notice small things. Details. The little cues people missed. Perhaps it was because she herself had been overlooked too many times in life. The cafe door chimed softly, and she looked up. A tall man in a charcoal gray coat had just exited, speaking into his phone with practiced ease. His shoes clicked purposefully against the pavement as he made his way to the curb, where a sleek black car waited for him. Just before stepping in, he adjusted his coat pocket, and in that motion, a small, brown leather wallet slid silently from his grasp and landed near the edge of the cafe steps. Lily noticed it immediately. She rushed to the door, flung it open, and called out, "Sir." "You dropped your," but the car door closed, the engine hummed, and within seconds, the vehicle merged into the blur of traffic and disappeared into the night. She bent down and picked up the wallet, her fingers brushing over the finely aged leather. It was thick and heavy. Curious, but respectful, she stepped back inside the cafe, her heart drumming in her chest, not from excitement, but from a strange mixture of nerves and moral weight. She glanced around to make sure she was alone and then opened it. Inside were several platinum and gold credit cards, a generous stack of crisp $100 bills, and a business card embossed in gold. James Whitaker, CEO, Whitaker Enterprises. Lily exhaled slowly. She had heard of the Whitaker name: real estate, tech investments, even a philanthropic foundation. This was no ordinary man. Her stomach tightened. A single bill from this wallet could cover her overdue rent. Another could buy food for the next 2 weeks. She thought of her drafty apartment, the broken space heater, and the half-full bag of rice that had to last until payday. But even as the temptations whispered, her conscience shouted louder. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, "Even when the world gives you nothing, never let it take your integrity." With slightly trembling hands, she grabbed her phone, turned the card over, and dialed the number printed on the back. It rang twice before a voice answered, professional, distant. Whitaker Enterprises. Lily cleared her throat. I found a wallet outside Cornerstone Cafe. I believe it belongs to Mr. James Whitaker. Please, tell him I have it. Everything is intact. The receptionist paused. Your name, please? Lily. Lily Thompson. He can call me back at this number. She hung up and looked back down at the wallet. For a second, she smiled, not because she expected a reward, but because she knew she had done the right thing. And sometimes, that's all a person has, the knowledge that even when no one's watching, you chose honesty. What Lily didn't know, as she tucked the wallet safely into her bag and headed home in the cold, was that this simple act of decency was about to turn her life upside down, and in the most beautiful way possible. The morning after her modest yet courageous act, Lily went about her day as if it were any other. The wallet sat safely in her canvas tote, and while she half expected a return call, she wasn't dwelling on it. That wasn't why she made the call. Her shift at the cafe started at noon, but by mid-morning, as she tidied her small apartment, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated for a moment before answering. Hello? Miss Lily Thompson? The voice was calm, older, and sounded like it had seen a boardroom or two. Yes, speaking. This is Charles Benton. I'm Mr. Whitaker's personal assistant. He asked me to thank you personally for your honesty and to request that you come to Whitaker Tower this afternoon, if you're available. Lily's heart skipped. Whitaker Tower. Sure. I mean, I'm working a shift later, but I could come before that. Excellent. I'll text you the details and arrange for car service to pick you up in an hour. Please bring the wallet with you." She hung up, dazed. It felt surreal. Moments later, a sleek town car pulled up in front of her building, the driver stepping out and opening the door like she was royalty. Her hands trembled slightly as she slid into the back seat, the wallet clutched tightly in her lap. She couldn't help but wonder if she was in trouble. Or if this was somehow a test. As the car weaved through the city, Lily peered out the window at the towering glass structures of downtown Boston. The Whitaker Tower stood like a silver sentinel among them, its shimmering surface mirroring the clouds. The lobby was vast, white marble floors, golden accents, a minimalist sculpture in the center, and the quiet efficiency of wealth in motion. She stepped inside nervously, greeted by a receptionist who immediately recognized her name. "Mr. Whitaker will see you now," she said with a warm smile. She was led to a private elevator, which took her straight to the top floor. The doors opened to a stunning panoramic office space, floor-to-ceiling windows, soft jazz playing in the background, and a man standing with his back to her, gazing out over the city. He turned slowly. Tall, striking, dressed in a navy blue suit with a demeanor that mixed power and calm like cream and coffee. "Miss Thompson," he said, walking toward her. "I'm James Whitaker." She handed him the wallet, her voice steady despite her racing thoughts. "I believe this belongs to you." He accepted it and studied her face for a long moment. Then, with a rare softness in his expression, he said, "Do you know how many people would have pocketed this without a second thought?" "I didn't do it for a reward," she replied quickly. "That's why it matters," he said simply. He gestured to a seat. "I'd like to talk to you a little more, if you have time." And just like that, Lily's world began to shift, not with fireworks, but with quiet, unexpected dignity. She had entered a skyscraper carrying only honesty, and unknowingly, she had opened the door to something that would change the course of her life. Lily sat across from James Whitaker in the sleek, glass-walled office, her hands clasped in her lap as if trying to keep her nerves from showing. The room was filled with soft light and the faint scent of fresh espresso. James, however, seemed more interested in her than anything else in the room. "You work at a café, right?" he asked, reviewing something on a tablet that looked far too expensive to touch without gloves. "Yes, part-time," she replied. "And I tutor children in the evenings when I can. Helps pay the bills. I'm studying to be a teacher." James looked up, his expression unreadable. "A teacher. That's noble. Not often I meet someone who chooses purpose over profit." Lily smiled faintly. "I've always believed people need more kindness in the world. Kids need someone who believes in them early." For a moment, he didn't respond. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and studied her like she was a rare painting that had somehow walked into his penthouse. "Lily," he said thoughtfully, "I wasn't always the CEO of this tower. When I was 16, I worked the night shift at a gas station to support my mother. We were nearly evicted twice. You remind me of those days, of the people who helped me get here." She blinked, not sure what to say to that. He continued, "And I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in." James's black limousine glided through the city like a silent promise, but tonight, he wasn't heading to a boardroom or gala. Instead, he was determined to find Lily's home, curiosity and admiration blooming into something deeper. As his driver slowed down in front of a modest apartment building on the quieter side of town, James stepped out, the cool night air biting through his designer coat. He had asked his assistant discreetly to find out more about her, not in a prying way, but to understand her world. What he discovered only humbled him more. She lived in a cramped two-room flat with her younger brother, Owen, whom she had raised since their parents died in an accident. She worked double shifts, took online courses, and volunteered twice a week at a shelter. All this, and she still smiled like the world hadn't broken her. James walked up the dimly lit stairwell, holding a small parcel in his hand. He didn't know how she'd react. Maybe she'd slam the door. Maybe she'd be too proud to accept anything from him. But still, he had to try. When Lily opened the door, surprise flashed across her face. "James? What are you doing here?" she asked, clearly flustered. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said softly. I had to see how you live. I needed to understand the strength behind that smile. She stepped aside, unsure, but moved by the sincerity in his eyes. It's not much, but this is home, she said quietly. The apartment was clean but worn. A small table served as both a desk and dinner spot. Books lined the walls. Photos of her and Owen, their faces lit with joy despite the humble surroundings, were everywhere. James looked around, then handed her the parcel. I know this might seem strange, but I brought you something. Lily opened the box slowly and found inside a brand new laptop, a folder with a scholarship form, and a handwritten letter of recommendation signed by James himself, addressed to a prestigious teaching fellowship program. Her hands trembled as she looked up. Why would you do this? Because you returned a wallet without hesitation, he said. You didn't see wealth. You saw a person. And because I believe in paying forward the kindness that once saved me. Tears filled her eyes, but she tried to compose herself. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did, James replied. You reminded me of who I was. And of who I want to be. In that dim apartment, something shifted, not just in James, who had always believed power came from position, but in Lily, who had never imagined that a simple act of honesty could ripple into something life-changing. It wasn't just gratitude in their shared silence, it was connection. A bridge between two completely different lives that had somehow met at the crossroads of kindness. Neither of them said much more that evening. But both walked away knowing they would never forget this night, and that it might just be the beginning of something neither of them expected. Lily stood on the threshold of a new life as dusk settled over the city. The weight of the past few weeks of unexpected meetings and life-altering revelations had transformed her from a quiet, unassuming waitress into a young woman filled with hopeful determination. The modest apartment where she had once struggled now felt like the launching pad for her dreams. Every detail seemed imbued with new meaning, the peeling wallpaper in her living room, the light that filtered through the threadbare curtains, and even the small, sagging armchair that had borne silent witness to her hardships all spoke of a past she was ready to leave behind. That evening, as Lily sat by a window watching the city lights dance on rain-washed streets, she thought about how one simple act had changed everything. It was a memory of that fateful day, her heart pounding as she had picked up the dropped wallet, the moment of quiet resolve when she had chosen honesty over temptation. The call from Charles Benton had led her to the towering Whittaker Tower, where she had met James Whittaker, a man whose eyes held both power and genuine kindness. In his presence, she had realized that integrity was worth more than gold. Now, in the soft glow of twilight, her thoughts wandered to the extraordinary gift that had been bestowed upon her, a full scholarship for the nursing degree she had long dreamed of, paired with a job offer that promised stability and a chance to grow. The letter in the envelope still rested on her bedside table, its words shining like a beacon of hope. Every sentence resonated with the belief that kindness, even in the smallest act, could change destinies. Earlier that evening, after a quiet dinner in a cozy little restaurant tucked away on a side street, Lily had received a call from the foundation. The scholarship was confirmed, and along with it, an invitation to a mentorship program where she could learn directly from some of the most compassionate leaders in the healthcare industry. The news had overwhelmed her with gratitude. Tears had streamed down her cheeks as she whispered thanks into the phone, already imagining the future she could build with the opportunity she'd been given. It was as if the universe had aligned perfectly around her, rewarding her for staying true to herself. Walking back along the familiar pavement, she recalled the skeptical looks and whispered gossip that had once accompanied her in the café. Now, in that moment of reflection, every hardship, every moment of doubt, seemed to have led her to this turning point. A sense of calm determination had settled over her like a warm blanket. Each step she took felt lighter, as though the heavy burdens of past misjudgments were gradually lifting, replaced by an inner strength she'd never known she possessed. Ahead of her, the skyline shimmered with promise. The streetlights and neon signs formed a pattern of glimmering hope that mirrored the spark that had been ignited in her heart. Every small act of compassion, the taxi driver's gentle smile, the sympathetic nod from a stranger, the soft murmur of approval from a long-forgotten colleague added to the mosaic of her transformation. She was no longer defined by her struggles, she had become defined by the resilience to overcome them. In that quiet moment, amid the hum of the sleeping city, Lily understood that true wealth was measured not by bank balances, but by the richness of one's heart and the integrity of one's actions. Her journey had been one of painful lessons and hard-won victories, a reminder that the smallest acts of kindness can create ripples that transform lives. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. If this story touched your heart and inspired you to believe in the power of compassion and redemption, please subscribe to Storytelling and Beyond. Your support helps keep these stories alive, bringing hope and inspiration to countless others. Don't forget to like, share, and click the bell icon for more unforgettable stories that remind us all that every act of kindness has the power to change the world.